Hello everyone, welcome to this new Touchdesigner tutorial in which I'm going to show you how to create this vortex trail particle effect. It's running on pops, so it's quite light for the computer. And yeah, we are going to see how to customize as well our component. So we can play on the vortex speed, but as well on the generation, the trail length. So it we can have like a smaller trail, but as well like on the trail speed. So we can really like playing on how thin it is. We can as well play on the initial number points. So if we want way more points at the beginning, we can to have like more intense vortex. We can do it, and as well on the intensity of the generation of particles. So we can have something. Maybe more minimalist. Just be careful. Try like to slowly increase the value here in initial point number and particle generation, as maybe like if your computer is not powerful enough, it can crash because generating a lot of particles. The file is available on my Patreon for the ones who wish to download it. But otherwise, we are going to do a step-by-step tutorial to see how to create this. Let's jump in and start a new project. So what we want to do, like to create this vortex, is really like to have a first base, which will be like geometric shape, like a torus, who are going forward the camera. And when it reaches the camera, we say to the system like it has to go back to the beginning. So the number of ring along this axis, so the z-axis, and number of ring and the limit is like we have to choose it, and we can of course like customize it. But first, like what we need to do is to create the initial shape. So here I'm going to use a torus, and to create a torus, we are going to do it in pop and with point generator. So point generator will create like a volume of points, a number of points on a defined shape. So I'm going to use a torus. And the orientation of the torus, I want it to be on the z-axis. So here z, and radius 2 and 0.1. So of course you can switch, like change a bit these parameters if you want something more dense or like with less opening. But yeah, for this this tutorial I'm going to use this value. And number of point, I'm going maybe to divide it by 2 to go like to 5,000. But this we are going then to customize it in our component. So now I have this shape, and what I want to do is to really have like several of it. So I'm going to copy it, to use the copy pop. And the copy pop is going to create copy of our shape. So I want 10 copy. And I want this copy to be offset by minus 1.5. So now it will create one copy and like every minus 1.5. So like our system is going to go like from 0 to minus 15. And what I want is to make this like all this copy like to move forward the camera. So I'm going to use transform. And in this transform, you can see here, if I increase the z value, it will move forward. But what I want is like when it reaches 0, I want the system to go back at the beginning. And so for that, I'm going to use a limit. And in the limit, so I have two options. I just want like, I don't want it like to restrain like the capacity on the y and x axis, but only on the z axis. So either I can choose like parameter size 3 and only play on this part. Either I can leave the parameters to 1, and here in input attributes, I'm going to choose just the z axis, which will be the attribute number 2 in the array. Like 0 will be x, 1 will be y, and 2 will be z. And here, maximum value I want 0, and minimum value I want the value we have here. So because we choose 10 copies at minus 1.5, here will be minus 15. But if you want to choose like to have more copy or more devs, like you just do the math and then you change your minimal value here. So what we could do actually is maybe here I'm going to use parameters, and in copy I can like multiply this by this. So I'm going to just put the reference here, cut, and multiply this by this. So now, like if I change the number of copy or change the translation here, it will change the value we got in our limit top. So I'm going to go back to minus 1.5. And then from there, we can create a first instancing system, not instancing, sorry, rendering system. So we can start to see how it looks. So I'm going to change it with a geo, and then create a camera, and add a point sprite material to our geo, and the alpha a bit less, and blending transparency on, and then just a render top, and followed up by a RGB key, and I'm going to show what we see. So now we see our system, and we can animate our transform so it goes towards the camera. And let's use for now the expression apps time.seconds, and later we will have it configured like so it run. But right now you can see like it's too much offset, and it's because in the limit I didn't choose what I wanted to make with the limit, so I wanted to be looped. And so now we can see the system is working. Maybe the camera is a bit too far away, so I'm going like to make it a bit closer. So really the particle goes to the end. And what I want to do now is to maybe have like a bit more like depth effect. So I want the particle when they are closer to the camera to be a bit bigger, and when they are further away, like to be smaller. So I'm going to use attenuate point scale parameters in the point sprite parameters to 1, and far point scale I'm going to say 0, and near point scale 4. And here, attenuate near point scale, I'm going to use 0, and attenuate far distance, I'm going to, let's keep 0. And here I'm going to reduce it to maybe something like, something like 17. So now our vortex is already working, but the next step will be like, so we already made this so far, and what I want now is to really create the particle effect, like the trail effect. So I'm going to give some room between the transform and the copy, and I'm going to add a null here to create the particle system. I'm going just to add first a particle top, and now we lose everything because the particle top basically is like making a particle per, like depending on here, we have a burst rate of 10 particles each second based on an initial position, which is here. And so what we want to do is like to have a burst rate way bigger. So I'm going to use frame here, and I'm going to put a burst rate of 2000 maybe. And so now we have like 2000 particles being created every frame based on the position here, but with a maximum of 1000 particles here. So I'm going like to increase it by a lot, by like to go to 10 million. And now we can see like we create particle on each point. So it's kind of an instancing of particles on each point from our previous position. But what I want to do is to add movement to our particle. And you can see here we have a target feedback loop pop. And so we are going to add a null after, and this null will be registered as our target. So the system now, like the particle will create like a feedback with a pop, and it's like it will always like take the position of the pop to calculate the next position. And so, like in my previous tutorial, we are going to insert a noise in between. And now you can see like it goes really crazy because we have like crazy amplitude. So let's go to a really small amplitude. And now you can see the system is like creating a particle every time and add the noise of this particle. What I want to do is in the output, I want to add in the combine operation, but I want to add curl 3D. And now you can see like the particle are like slowly moving and around the axis. And maybe I want to increase the period to maybe something like 2. So we have something a bit more global, but same here, like you can really play on which like kind of effects you want to have on your particle system. Now in the life expect of the particle is 10, but same here, maybe I want like the trail to be longer. So if I go like to something like 30, it will get a bit longer. And like now the system is each particle has the same duration or like same birth rate. And I want maybe like to differ it to have something a bit more organic. So in life variance, it's a fraction. But life variance, I'm going like to change it a bit, to increase it to something like maybe 0.17. And yeah, now you can see like the system is really like starting to take place. So now now the system is working, but what I want is like to get a bit like to have kind of a view of the initial system as well. So before, like we did all the particle manipulation on it. And for that, I'm going to create kind of a second branch of our system and to make like kind of the initial position of our initial vortex. And for that, I'm going to actually add a delete with the middle mouse button to create a new branch. And the delete basically is going like to take all what we had, but I want less of those points. So I'm going into the scene, I'm going to enable scene, and in scene I'm going to use scene random, and you can see like it scatter a bit the point, and I'm going to maybe like something like 0.3. And so now we have a bit less points than the initial we created. And I'm going actually to redo basically the same than what we did before, meaning like creating the same transform setup we have here. So I'm just going to copy this here and to put it there. And this, what I want this time is not to have a particle system, but to copy it as sphere. So I'm going to create a sphere in pop, and in the uniform scale, go to something really small, like 0.01. And I want to copy this to match, to instance it around like this position. So I'm going to join both of them and then link it to a geo. So now we can barely see it. Like, let's see if I increase a bit. Yeah, you can see like we have the sphere being instanced, but because we don't have any material, we cannot really see it. So I'm going to use a constant there and use it as parameters. And now we can have all the point being shown. And again, I'm going to reduce a bit the alpha, maybe to something like 0.5, and in the command I'm going to allow transparency. And now those points are like maybe still a bit too big. Going to reduce them a bit, and I'm going to use a noise top this time for the color of those points, so it's less white and more diverse. And so this noise, I'm going to link it to a null and call it null color, and use here insert operator, a texture, lookup texture, and use this top as the color. And so output attribute scope, I'm going to say color. And so now you can see we have point of different color. And here, if I use a transform, you can have something moving. And so maybe as well, what we could do is to create a bit of movement because right now the circle are like really going like in always in the same. It's not turning. So what we could do is on the camera we can use window roll to have the maybe like a bit of movement of the camera to have a bit twisted effect, or we could as well like add a transform here. And in this transform, I'm going to use rotate on the z-axis to create some movement. So I'm going to use minus apps time dot seconds multiply by 5, and or multiply by 2.5. And I'm going to copy this pop and to put it in this system. So now we have the whole system, which is like slightly moving. And yeah, basically that's pretty much it about the system. Now let's maybe work a bit on the after of the system to have a better look. And for that, I'm going like to first create a little bit of blur around the edge. And for that, I'm going to insert here a circle, or to create a new branch with a circle. And this circle, I'm going to go like for a higher radius and to add softness around it. A background alpha set to 1. So we are really like the circle is going to be over the render, because we are just using it like as a blur map. And from there, here I'm going to insert a Luma blur. And use the black as a way to filter it. And so maybe increase like a bit of softness. And you can see you can really play on the blurriness of the edge. So create a bit of focus point. So now that we got this, I'm going here like to use 920 1280. Otherwise, like you can reduce the point scale here to have something a bit more sleek. And yeah, so now the system is like created, and we can start like to add like customize options, so we can really play with it. So I'm going to create a constant to store all the data we want for the parameters to be controlled. And so the parameters we want is first like how many point we want on each circle, like so the initial points. I'm going to call it init points. Then we want the particles generation. So how many particles burst rate we want on each of these points, or not on each of these points, on the particle system. And I'm going to call it particles gen. And then we want the length of the trail, so basically the life expectation of the particles. And next one will be the trail speed. So it will be like this amplitude of the noise. So if I increase it, I have a bigger one. And so I'm going to call it trail speed. And then maybe we can have the parameters for the translate. So like how fast the circle is going towards us. Of course, oh sorry, not trail speed, but vortex speed. Now, like it's one setup, but we can of course add a lot of different parameters. We could, I don't know, like change the number of copy. We could as well play on the rotation, or like here, like the, how many points we want like to be instant as sphere, like the color, everything is parameterable, but let's stick with those few parameters for now. And what I'm gonna do, like vortex speed is going to be a bit different than the other. So I'm going to use a first select, and in this select, I'm going to only select the vortex speed. And this vortex speed, I'm going to link it with the speed. And you can see now, if I change the value of vortex speed, we will have like increasing value here. So it's a nice way like to control the speed of our vortex. And I want now like to merge it with the rest. So I'm going to use another select here. Oops. And in this select, I'm going to go to select all of them, but the vortex speed. And then I'm going to merge all of those. And link it to a null, and I'm gonna call it null param. So let's choose for now init point. We can choose something like 2500. Same for particle generation, or 2000. Trail length, let's choose something like 20. Trail speed, maybe something like 1, and vortex speed something like 1. And we are going to export all these parameters to where they need to be exported. So the vortex speed, we need to export it both like to this transform, the transform for the particle trail, but as well the transform in here. Then trail length will be exported to life expect. And then we have particle generation, which will be exported to birth rate in our particle. And into the noise, we want the trail speed. So you can see the value is really high. So if here I put 1, it will be way too much. So I'm going to multiply it by 0.0001. So I use export chop reference and not export chop. And then we'll have init point, and we are going to use it here in point gen. And so now, like you see, like if I change here, we have a mistake here because when I change like the point generation here, so right now I'm at 0, so I cannot actually have 0. Let's choose something like 1. So we have to say like it cannot be 0. So here we can, like, to be sure we prevent from this, we can use this plus 1. So now we are sure, like, even if we go to 0 here, the system won't bug. So now we have set up all the parameters, and what I'm going to do is just to make all these parameters accessible from our component in the custom parameters page. So I'm going to go up a level, right click, click on customize component here, and go back into our system, and basically like I'm gonna like put all these parameters in this page so it's easier to control. So the first one will be the number of initial point. I'm going to type initial points number, and it's going to be an int, and add parameters. And here you can choose like the minimum range and maximum range. So we already put minimum 1 because here we change as a security, so we can let range minimum 0, and range max, it's up to you, but based on your GPU capacity, like choose something which is not too high neither. So I'm going to go like for something like 10,000, and default I'm going to go like for 1,500, and let's do this for this all. So then particle generation, particles, I'm gonna call it particles generation, and it's going to be int as well, add parameters, and for this one same, range minimum 0, so it won't generate anything, and range max maybe something like 10,000, and again I'm going to use as default 1500, but you really have like to check the limit on your system and see if you have dropping frame or if you can go further. Then trail length. And for trail length, I'm going to use a float because it's not something as an integral. It's not we can really play more smoothly on it. And range max, I'm gonna go for 100, but you can go maybe a bit up. But and by default it's 30. Oops, I didn't add it. So add parameters. Oh. 30. And then we have trail speed. So it's going to be like how fast the trail are being created. And trail speed, I'm going to put this here. And trail speed minimum 0, maximum 10, and by default 3. And then vortex speed. Same, it's going to be a float. And default 1, range max maybe something like 16. And last is going to be a reset button for a particle system in case you want to just init, or if there is a mistake and you want to just reinit it. So reset, and I'm going to add pulse here and add parameters. So now let's check like we are good on everything. Trail length, I see like here I did a mistake. So let's go like 100 trail length and range default 30. And now we have all this setup. We can close this window and right click on project and say parameters and go into custom here. And I'm just going to drag and drop all the parameters here from to here. Oops, not value, but chop reference. And I'm going to do this for all. And now we have the system, and we can play with it quite easily. So that's it. I hope you you enjoy this tutorial, and yeah, feel free to subscribe to the channel. And if you want a component already made, you can subscribe to my Patreon. Hope you enjoy and have nice fun with Touchdesigner.